If you can't articulate your spiritual growth within the last few months, if you can't identify how you've grown spiritually within the last few months, there's a good chance that you're stuck, sunk, and stifled. Today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why your spiritual growth may have plateaued, why you're not growing and maturing as a Christian. And at the end, I'll share 2 simple steps on how you can break free from being stuck, sunk, and stifled. The Bible makes it very clear that God's ways and God's thoughts are so far beyond our own that there is always room to grow spiritually for every one of us until the day we die. So if we can't talk about, or to some extent explain, how we've grown over the last few months, we need to at least be honest enough with ourselves to admit we're not growing. We've plateaued. With that in mind, let's talk about 3 reasons that may happen. Number 1, you're stuck. Number 2, you're sunk. Number 3, you're stifled. Stuck, sunk, stifled. Let me explain. Reason number 1 that your growth is plateaued is that you're letting what you already know keep you from learning what God still has to share with you. There's actually research that shows that one of the biggest barriers to adults learning new things is their tendency to not want to let go of or have to adjust what they already know. I don't need to listen to this sermon. I've heard it before. I don't need to study the book of Romans again. I've been in a Romans Bible study more times than I can count. These are blatant, overt examples, but the scary part is that this mental process usually happens subconsciously. We check out on something without even being aware of it. We let what we know get in the way of learning all the wonderful things that God still has to share with us. Why do you think Jesus said multiple times in his Sermon on the Mount, "You've heard it before, but I tell you"? He was telling them, don't let what you already know keep you from hearing what I need you to know. So we're stuck. We're stuck on what we already know. Reason number 2 that you're not growing is that you've always done things this way. And so has your family, and so has your church. So it has to be right. Right? Why would they do things the way they do if it's not right? Right? This is difficult for us to deal with because we have good intentions. We mean well when we do the things we do in the way that we do them. But Jesus has some pointed words to share with us in Mark 7, 1 through 13, when he tells us that we've let our traditions become doctrine. In other words, we've let the things we've always done become more important to us than the matters of the heart that Jesus addresses repeatedly throughout his entire earthly ministry. So we're sunk. We're sunk down in the ruts of what we've always done to the point that we can't see there are more biblical, more holy, more godly ways of living out our Christianity. And reason number 3 is that you think you're okay. You're good enough. You've earned enough points. What we're doing is good enough. There's 2 huge problems with this approach. First, it's not how we're saved. We're not saved because we're good enough. If that were the case, Jesus wasted his time and didn't need to die on the cross. Just tell us how good we have to be and let us earn our way to heaven. Second problem with this approach is, who do we think we are that we get to decide what is good enough? We are not God. We don't get to make those decisions. We don't become God. We serve God. Beside these 2 huge flaws in our thinking, we're not called to be good enough. We're called to be holy, holy as God is holy. That is a high calling, not a good enough calling. So we're stifled. We're stifled by thinking we're already good enough. Are you stuck on what you already know? Are you sunk in the ruts of what you've always done? Are you stifled by the erroneous thinking that we're already good enough? If you are, you're not alone. I've struggled with all three of these mistakes and too frequently still do. But getting beyond that is really just a two-step process. The first step is to getting beyond this is acknowledging this. Acknowledging that I'm stuck letting what I already know keep me from learning more. That I'm sunk down in the ruts of doing what I've always done, and I'm stifled by thinking I'm okay the way I am and therefore not really interested in growing. The second step is turning to God and asking for His help. If we humbly turn to God and seek His help, He'll be there for us. James 4:10 says, "Humble yourself before the Lord and He will lift you up." Humble yourself before the Lord and He will lift you up. He can get you unstuck, unsunk, and unstifled. He's capable. The question is, are we willing? If your spiritual growth has plateaued, I hope these words give you some encouragement to do something about it. Thanks for listening. God bless you on your journey.